Standing before him, arms crossed over a barrel-sized chest, is First Sergeant Jack Morrison, 6 feet 4 inches, 1.92 meters, 265 pounds, 120 kilograms, of pure muscle built in real combat in Vietnam, hellish training, and years of absolute confidence in his strength. His forearms look like oak logs, his neck is thicker than most men's thighs, his knuckles are scarred, and he has a gaze that has seen death up close. Morrison looks Bruce up and down. A crooked smile crosses his sun-weathered face. A muffled laugh is heard among the soldiers. "So this is the famous Bruce Lee," Morrison says in a deep, almost mocking voice. "Colonel, with all due respect, this guy weighs less than my combat rucksack. Do you really think he can teach us anything about fighting?" The silence becomes thick. Bruce doesn't respond. He only maintains that calm, almost meditative gaze. There is no tension in his body, no ego in his posture. Morrison takes a step forward. The tatami mat creaks under his weight. "Look, little man, I've fought hand-to-hand with Viet Cong soldiers. I've survived ambushes where men bigger than you died. Here we train to kill with our bare hands. We don't make movies with wires and special effects." The provocation is direct. It is the classic clash between two worlds, brute military force versus Asian martial philosophy. In 1972, racial prejudices are still very much alive. To many Americans, Asians are perceived as small, weak, or submissive. Morrison represents that mentality. Bruce represents the opposite. Now let me ask you something. Have you ever been underestimated because of your appearance, your size, your accent, or your origin? Stay until the end of this story because what happened in the next 12 seconds changed the way those elite soldiers viewed combat forever. If you want to know how a 140 pounds, 63 kilograms, man brought a 265 pounds, 120 kilograms, giant to his knees without landing a single devastating blow or breaking a single bone, subscribe right now, hit the bell icon, leave a like, and comment if you've ever proven that size isn't everything. Because this story is for everyone who was told they were too small for something big. Colonel Parker intervenes. "Sergeant Morrison, Mr. Lee agreed to come here as a courtesy. I suggest you show some respect." Morrison is already fired up. "Colonel, with all due respect, I suggest a practical demonstration. A light spar, no pads, just to see if Eastern martial arts actually work against someone trained in real combat." The other Green Berets mutter among themselves. Some nod. The testosterone in the air is palpable. They are used to physical dominance. He is one of their best. The idea that an Asian movie actor could surpass them is almost offensive to their identity. Bruce finally speaks. His voice is soft but firm. "Sergeant, I didn't come here to fight. I came to share knowledge." "That's what I thought," Morrison responds with satisfaction. "Everything is philosophy until someone actually hits you." Bruce tilts his head slightly, then says something that changes everything. "But if you insist, let's do this, 12 seconds. Try to touch me once, just once. If you succeed, I will publicly acknowledge that your method is superior. If you cannot touch me in 12 seconds, you will give a military salute as a sign of respect." Absolute silence. The soldiers exchange incredulous looks. 12 seconds is almost insulting. Morrison is nearly 6 feet 7 inches, has the reach of a heavyweight boxer, and his fists are the size of hammers. "Just touch you." Morrison lets out a laugh. "Friend, in 12 seconds I can throw 20 punches." "Then it shouldn't be a problem," Bruce responds emotionlessly. Morrison strips off his army shirt. His torso is a mass of intercostal muscles, sharp obliques, and pectorals that look like armor plates. He takes a military boxing stance. Fists clenched, weight distributed, ready to explode. Bruce doesn't change his stance. He only slightly adjusts his feet, flexes the fingers of one hand, and takes a deep breath. His eyes lock onto Morrison like an eagle fixing on its prey. Colonel Parker looks at his stopwatch. "On my signal. 12 seconds on the clock. Starting now. The 12-second match. Second one." Morrison explodes forward like a bull. His right arm throws a direct jab aimed at Bruce's head. It's fast for a man of his size and powerful. The air whistles with the movement. Bruce isn't there. He slides to the right with a sidestep so fluid it seems his feet don't touch the ground. Morrison's fist passes inches from where Bruce's head was a fraction of a second ago. Morrison adjusts immediately, pivoting on his left foot. Second two. Morrison throws a left hook using the full rotation of his torso. The blow has enough power to break ribs. Bruce ducks. He doesn't retreat, he moves downward at an impossible angle, bending his knees like compressed springs. The fist passes over him like a wave over a submerged rock. The soldiers watch, mouths agape. Morrison has already thrown 2 punches and hasn't even grazed the fabric of Bruce's shirt. Second 3, Morrison tries a right uppercut, adjusting for Bruce's low level. It's a smart, calculated move, but Bruce has already anticipated it. He rotates his torso to the left, creating an angle where Morrison's fist brushes past his shoulder. Bruce is now on Morrison's flank in his blind zone. Morrison senses the danger and spins quickly, trying to reposition. Second 4. The sergeant throws a desperate combination. Jab, cross, jab. 3 punches in rapid succession. His arms are pistons, but Bruce flows between them like water through rocks. A step back, another to the side, a slight tilt of the head. Every movement is minimal, exact, with no wasted energy. Morrison is starting to breathe harder. Frustration is reflected in his eyes. Second 5. Morrison changes tactics and tries a low front kick aimed at Bruce's knees. It's a military strike designed to incapacitate. Bruce lifts his lead leg a fraction of a second before impact. Morrison's foot passes under him. In that moment of imbalance, Bruce could counterattack, but he doesn't. He only watches, merely proving that he can. Second 6. Morrison is sweating now and his breathing is audible. He throws a right overhand with all his might, the kind of punch that has knocked men out in soldier bars. Bruce takes a step forward, closing the distance before the blow can develop power. Morrison's arm passes behind Bruce's head. Useless. They are almost chest to chest. Bruce could have struck 5 vital points from that distance. He doesn't. The soldiers are quiet now. Morrison's smirk has completely vanished. Second 7. Morrison tries a grapple, extending both arms to wrap Bruce in a military wrestling clinch. It's a solid technique against smaller opponents. Bruce slips under his arms as if they were branches moving in the wind and appears behind Morrison. If this were real combat, he could have applied a chokehold, but he's only there to prove a point. Second 8. Morrison spins, throwing a blind back fist out of growing frustration. Bruce leans back from the waist, his back forming an impossible arch. Morrison's fist cuts the air where Bruce's face was an instant ago. Bruce snaps back to a vertical position like he's powered by a spring. The size difference no longer matters. Morrison is attacking the ghost of where Bruce was, not where he is. Second 9. Morrison tries another kick, this time aimed mid-range at the torso. Bruce lifts his knee, absorbing the impact against his shin as if it were a block of granite. Morrison's foot bounces off uselessly. Bruce doesn't retreat a single inch. His eyes remain fixed, calm, almost compassionate. Morrison is losing mental control. He is attacking with rage now, not technique. Second 10. The sergeant throws a wild combination. Left, hook, uppercut. 5 strikes in 2 seconds, each with the power to cause severe damage. Bruce moves in a circular pattern, his feet tracing a perfect arc around Morrison. The fists cut the air again and again. None connect, not even close. The soldiers are now completely absorbed. Some have their mouths open. They are seeing something that defies their understanding of combat. Second 11. Morrison is exhausted. His arms feel heavy, his lungs burn. He throws one last desperate jab, putting everything he has left into it. Bruce simply moves his head 2 inches, 5 centimeters, to the left. The fist brushes his cheek so closely that Morrison feels the heat of Bruce's skin, but it doesn't touch, it doesn't connect. Morrison knows he is beaten. He knows it in that moment. Second 12. Time is about to run out. Morrison stands with his arms down, breathing as if he'd run a marathon. Bruce takes a step forward, raises his right hand slowly without threat, and with his index finger, gently touches Morrison's chest. It is the lightest touch imaginable, as if he were touching a child, as if to say, "I could have done this at any moment I wanted." "Time," announces Colonel Parker. Morrison stands there, trembling slightly, not from fear, but from exhaustion and realization. He threw at least 15 attacks in 12 seconds, each designed to harm. Not one connected, not a single one, and in the end Bruce touched him effortlessly. The gym is in absolute silence. Only Morrison's heavy breathing and the distant hum of a fan can be heard. Bruce takes a step back.
His breathing is normal, he isn't sweating. His shirt is perfect, without a wrinkle. It's as if the last 12 seconds never happened for him. Morrison bows his head, then slowly snaps into a military position of attention and raises his right hand to his forehead in a perfect military salute. Firm, respectful, humble. "Sir," Morrison says in a raspy voice, "I just realized I know nothing about real combat." Bruce returns the salute, not with arrogance, but with mutual respect. "Sergeant, you are a warrior. Your strength is impressive. Your determination is admirable, but allow me to show you something, the lesson." Bruce approaches Morrison. The other soldiers form a tighter circle to listen. "Sergeant, stand in your guard again. I am not going to attack. I just want you to feel something." Morrison moves into a stance, confused but obedient. Bruce steps close and places his hand gently on Morrison's right shoulder, right where the deltoid connects to the trapezius. "When you were throwing your punches, do you know what I saw?" Morrison shakes his head. "I saw your shoulder tensing before every punch. I saw your weight shifting to your front foot before every kick. I saw your eyes locking on the target before you moved. You telegraph every movement with your body." Bruce applies light pressure with his thumb. Morrison winces. "Here, at this exact point, all your power strikes begin. If I know how to read this muscle, I can anticipate your attack before it is even launched." He pulls his hand away and stands in front of Morrison. "Now, watch my shoulder. Try to anticipate my movement." Bruce throws an ultra-fast jab that stops just an inch from Morrison's nose. Morrison didn't blink, didn't move, didn't see it coming. His shoulder didn't tense, his weight didn't shift. It was a movement generated from the center, from what Bruce calls the dantian, the energy center 3 fingers below the navel. In Chinese martial arts, we work from the center, not from the outer muscles. Large muscle is slow, the center is fast. "Sergeant, you have the engine of a tank, but you are trying to compete in a Formula One race." Morrison listens with total attention. His ego has completely dissolved. He is thirsty to learn. The problem isn't your size. The problem is how you use your size. When you attacked me, you used total force in every strike. That means every attack requires half a second of muscular preparation. I use 30% force in my movements because I don't need more. That gives me speed, and speed with the right timing defeats brute force every time. Bruce walks in a circle around Morrison. "Furthermore, look at your stance. Feet wide apart for stability. That is good for absorbing impact, but bad for mobility. When I tried to touch you, you pivoted on your heels. That creates a millisecond of delay. I move on the balls of my feet, always ready to explode in any direction." He stops in front of the group. "This isn't magic, it's physics. It's human body engineering. Your body is an incredible machine, Sergeant. But you are using brute force where you should use leverage. You are using muscle where you should use timing. You are using power where you should use precision." One of the other Green Berets raises his hand. "Mr. Lee, but you are faster because you are smaller. How can that help us?" Bruce smiles. "Good question. Speed doesn't come from being small. It comes from eliminating unnecessary tension. Watch." He approaches another soldier, a man about 6 feet 1 inch and nearly 220 pounds of muscle. "Stand in your guard. Throw a jab as fast as you can." The soldier throws a fast jab, decent, but not explosive. "Now relax your shoulder completely, as if it were just hanging. Yes, like that. Now throw the jab thinking only of extending your arm, not hitting hard. Just extension." The soldier tries it. The jab flies out nearly twice as fast. The soldier's eyes widen. "Damn, I felt that." "Exactly. You were using antagonist muscles. Your triceps were pushing while your biceps were resisting. That creates tension and slowness. When you relax, you eliminate internal resistance. The punch flies." Bruce looks at the whole group. "This is what I want you to understand. I didn't come here to demonstrate superiority. I came to share principles that can make anyone better. You are warriors. I respect that deeply, but I am offering you tools that will make you more efficient warriors. Morrison steps forward. Mr. Lee, may I ask you a personal question? Of course. Why didn't you hit me? In those 12 seconds, you had at least 10 clear opportunities to seriously hurt me. I saw it in your eyes. You knew exactly where to strike. Why did you only touch me at the end? Bruce looks at him directly. Because I didn't come to win a fight, Sergeant. I came to change a mind. If I had hit you, you would be angry, embarrassed, resentful. Your ego would be wounded and your mind closed. But by only demonstrating that I could touch you without you being able to touch me, your mind opened. Now you are ready to learn. This is the true victory. The silence that follows is profound. It isn't discomfort, it's collective reflection. These men, trained to dominate physically, have just been dominated without violence, and they understand the lesson. Furthermore, Bruce continues, you are a protector of your country. I respect that. Why would I want to harm someone who risks their life for others? It makes no sense. Real combat isn't about destroying the opponent. It's about neutralizing the threat with the minimum damage necessary. You know this. That's why you are special operations. You don't go around destroying everything in your path. You go in with surgical precision.
Morrison nods slowly. Something changes in his expression. Mr. Lee, would you agree to stay a few more days? We would like to learn what you can teach us. Bruce smiles. It would be an honor. For the next 3 days, Bruce Lee teaches that group of Green Berets the fundamental principles of Jeet Kune Do. He shows them how to use economy of motion, how to read an opponent's body language, how to generate maximum power with minimum effort, and how to adapt fluidly between combat ranges. But more important than the techniques, he teaches them philosophy. He tells them about water that adapts to any container, but can wear away the hardest rock over time. He tells them about emptying the mind of preconception and ego to be able to respond honestly to what is not what we think it should be. Morrison becomes the most dedicated student. Every morning he arrives an hour early to practice. He asks questions constantly and takes detailed notes. Something in him has awakened. On the last day, during a light sparring session, Morrison applies everything he has learned. He moves with less tension, reads movements better, uses leverage instead of brute force, and for the first time in his life, manages to touch Bruce's shoulder during an exchange. Bruce stops immediately. He smiles broadly. There it is. You felt the difference, didn't you? Morrison nods, almost breathless. It was like my body finally obeyed my mind. Exactly. That is presence. That is unity, mind and body. Sergeant, you have just taken the first step on a path that never ends. But it is the most important step. As Bruce prepares to leave, Morrison hands him something. It is his Green Beret, the symbol of his military identity, earned with blood and extreme sacrifice. I cannot accept this, Bruce says, surprised. Please, Morrison insists. It's not just a beret. It's my way of telling you that you taught me something no military instructor could. You taught me that true strength is not in dominating others, but in dominating oneself first. Bruce takes the beret with both hands as if it were sacred. I will wear it with honor, Sergeant, and every time I see it, I will remember that true warriors never stop learning. They shake hands. But then Morrison does something unexpected. He hugs Bruce, a hug of brothers in arms. The other soldiers applaud. Years later, Morrison would become one of the most respected hand-to-hand combat instructors in Special Forces. He would integrate Asian martial arts principles into the standard military curriculum. He would teach thousands of soldiers that muscle without mind does not win, that speed with intelligence overcomes brute force, and that the ego is the worst enemy in combat. And every time he tells the story of those 12 seconds at Fort Bragg, his voice fills with reverence. Not shame but reverence, because he understands that was the day he stopped being just a strong soldier and became a complete warrior. The legacy of 12 seconds. The story of that demonstration spread quickly through U.S. military bases. It became an urban legend. Some details were exaggerated, others lost, but the core remained intact. Bruce Lee had dismantled an elite Green Beret without landing a single blow. But the most important thing wasn't the physical demonstration. It was the shift in mindset it provoked. That day, in that military gym, A group of men trained to dominate with force learned that there is something more powerful than muscle: applied intelligence. And that lesson is as relevant today as it was in 1972. We live in a world that constantly tells us that bigger is better, stronger is better, more aggressive is better. But Bruce Lee proved time and again that this is an illusion. It's not about how much you weigh. It's about how well you apply what you have. It's not about how much force you generate. It's about how much force you actually need. It's not about dominating the opponent. It's about neutralizing the threat with the minimum energy necessary. Those 12 seconds at Fort Bragg were not about Bruce Lee demonstrating superiority. They were about Bruce Lee demonstrating a universal truth. A disciplined mind overcomes an undisciplined body, no matter how strong that body is. Morrison understood this, which is why he gave that military salute, not because he lost a fight, but because he gained wisdom. And that wisdom became his greatest weapon. More powerful than his fists, more effective than his strength. Because wisdom can be shared, multiplied, and passed on to future generations. When Morrison trained new recruits years later, he always told them that story and always ended by saying the same thing. The day a 140-pound man left me breathless without touching me was the day I truly learned how to fight, because I understood that fighting is not about destroying, it's about controlling. And the first control must always be over oneself. If you've made it this far, I want you to reflect on this. How many times have you underestimated someone because of their appearance? How many times have you been underestimated? How many times have you used brute force when intelligence would have been more effective? Like this post right now if this story made you rethink how you see conflict, strength, and true power. Comment: muscle without mind doesn't win. So I know you listened to the end and understood the message. Subscribe to the channel if you want more stories about Bruce Lee that change the way you see the world. Because at the end of the day, this story isn't just about Bruce Lee. It's about all of us. It's about every time we face something bigger than ourselves and feel we aren't enough. It's about every time someone told us we were too small, too weak, too different. Morrison was bigger, stronger, and more trained in real combat. But Bruce had something no military training teaches: the ability to be completely present, completely fluid, completely free of ego. And that day on that military base, a giant learned to kneel. Not out of weakness but out of respect, because he understood he had met someone who had transcended physical struggle and reached something higher. The art of fighting without fighting. As Bruce himself said, the best combat is the one that never happens. The best warrior is the one who never needs to prove he is one. Morrison gave that military salute not because Bruce defeated him, but because Bruce showed him a better way. A path where strength is used with wisdom, where power is applied with precision, and where the greatest victory is not over the opponent, but over one's own ego. This is the lesson of the 12 seconds at Fort Bragg. That is why, more than 50 years later, we are still telling this story. Not because Bruce Lee did something impossible, but because he proved that the impossible only exists in our minds. When Morrison raised his hand in a military salute, he wasn't admitting defeat. He was celebrating a discovery, that there was more to combat than what he was taught, more to strength than what he could measure, and more in himself than he believed possible. And that is the gift Bruce Lee left to every person he met. Not techniques, not secret strikes, not magic moves, but the profound understanding that we all carry within us unlimited potential if we are willing to empty our cup, let go of our ego, and learn as an eternal student. 12 seconds, just 12 seconds. But in those 12 seconds, a world changed for Jack Morrison and for all who witnessed that moment. How much can your world change in 12 seconds if you choose to be present, completely honest with yourself, and completely open to learning? That is the final question, and only you can answer it.